So after you beat Evaneson, if the WBO says Vergil Ortiz is your mandatory, because that's what they've been saying, and you have to fight him, would you fight him?
Of course. He been my mandatory for how long?
I don't know.
You got to understand, he was my mandatory before Shawn Porter.
But you never did you give him step-aside money, or you just were able?
Never.
Okay.
Never. Never in the history of Terence Crawford's career have he ever gave anybody step-aside money to fight, ever. I always fought my mandatories. Always. Even when people, oh, well, he fighting this guy. Yeah, I'm fighting him because he's my mandatory. You're right, because I was once that guy that they try to pay to get step-aside money to,
right.
And I turned it down because, this is my shot at, a world title, and this is my dream, this is my goal, so no amount of money they could have paid me to make me step aside to fulfill my dream.
Who offered you step aside? Ricky Burns?
Yes. Yes.
That's Terence Bud Crawford revealing that Vergil Ortiz has been his mandatory for a very long time, and he has yet to activate his mandatory position. Crawford also revealed that he has never paid anybody for step-aside money because he was once in that position where he wanted a title shot as bad as he wanted to breathe, and there is no amount of money he would have had accepted for step-aside. However, Vergil Ortiz, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. Forget about step-aside money. Vergil Ortiz is willing to step aside without getting paid any money, simply because he does not want the smoke with Bud Crawford. The exact same way Munguia does not want the smoke with Andrade and Charlo, even though Munguia, just like Vergil Ortiz, has been the mandatory for years. However, Munguia rather fight bums instead of fighting the champions that he's mandatory for. We see Bam Bam Rodriguez do the same, moving down a division in order to avoid the smoke against Roman Gonzalez versus Estrada winner. We also have William Zabata and Isaac Pitbull Cruz ducking Shakur Stevenson the same exact way Vergil Ortiz is ducking Terence Bud Crawford. But Vergil Ortiz is even worse because he's the mandatory to the pound-for-pound king. And he has been the mandatory for a very long time. I remember when Crawford was at Vergil Ortiz's fight. After the fight, Crawford was pointing at Vergil, daring him to call him out. And when Vergil was asked, do you want to fight Crawford next? Vergil said, I don't care if I'm ready or not. If they give it to me, I'll take it. Like, who says that? I don't care if I'm ready or not. You basically saying you're not ready. Then the next time he fought, and he was asked about Crawford, he said he's willing to fight Crawford next. But his actions said otherwise. Matter of fact, right after the fight, Vergil Ortiz was explaining himself and pretty much apologizing to Crawford on Twitter for calling him out. Like, who does that? That's when even Stevie Wonder could see that Vergil Ortiz is shook of Crawford. But the story only gets better. After that, Vergil Ortiz fought a fighter with only 2 knockouts on his record. And after the fight, when Vergil was asked about Crawford again, Vergil started bluffing again. He said in response to being Crawford mandatory that he want Crawford next. However, Crawford is occupied because he's fighting Errol Spence. Then when Errol Spence versus Crawford negotiations fell apart, after Crawford accepted all of Errol Spence's terms, including no guarantee money and less money, so on and so forth, due to Errol Spence's team not agreeing to give Crawford full transparency, the fight fell apart. So the $1 million question, where is Crawford mandatory Vergil Ortiz all of a sudden go? He disappeared like magic. Vergil Ortiz, after his last fight, he was claiming that he want Crawford next. However, he can't get that because he knows Crawford is going to fight Errol Spence. But when the fight fell apart, all of a sudden, now Vergil Ortiz is as quiet as a church mouse. He has nothing to say now when Crawford is available. We all know Crawford is a free agent, so he could go straight to the zone and fight Vergil in his home. but Vergil still doesn't want the smoke even under them circumstances. In addition to that, Vergil Ortiz's next move is his best duck move so far. It was reported that Vergil Ortiz has petitioned/requested to the WBA, not the WBO, but the WBA, to fight Stenonius next in a title eliminator for Errol Spence mandatory. Like, wait a minute. What about Crawford? You already Crawford mandatory. How come Vergil Ortiz never petitioned to the WBO the same way he petitioned to the WBA to order the fight between him and the champion Crawford? Instead, Crawford revealed that Vergil Ortiz was his mandatory before even Shawn Porter. So the only reason Crawford fought Shawn Porter before Vergil is because Vergil passed on his opportunity to become a champion since he felt like he wasn't ready. Which is pretty ironic because Vergil Ortiz said he doesn't want to fight Jaron Ennis right now, a fighter his age, a fighter who's viewed as his ultimate rival. Because according to Vergil, he want to go after the old dogs, Crawford and Errol Spence. But he's ducking Terence Crawford. How is Vergil Ortiz going to justify avoiding Jaron Ennis by claiming he want to fight Crawford? Then he goes and ducks Terence Crawford. You really can't make this up. So for the people that's asking how come Crawford is fighting Evanasian instead of his mandatory, well, the answer is simple. It's because his mandatory Vergil Ortiz does not want the smoke. I never thought I'd see the day where Ryan is willing to fight Gervonta, but Vergil Ortiz is not willing to fight Crawford. Hate it or love it, Ryan right now has more cojones than all of the Mexican fighters from Pitbull Zepeda, Bam Bam Rodriguez, Vergil Ortiz, and Munguia. With the facts being laid out, drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe below and click on the notification bell to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, Akhi TV. Peace. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
To be a challenger for a world title. Are you ready for that shot?
Yes, sir.
We had a guy here again, Terence Crawford, sitting ringside watching your fight. How do you feel about a matchup right now with Terence Crawford?
Well, first of all, I told you earlier in the week that he's a little tied up right now, but if the opportunity comes, I'm more than happy to fight.
Congratulations, Vergil.
Thank you.
Guys?
Did you see Oscar De La Hoya leaning in for that answer? He's like, hey, that's a big money maker.
That's a promoter for you, but now what's smart